Hi, Taurus. Welcome to your April 2018 Astro Update. It's Raina here. So happy birthday, happy solar return to those of you born in April. And this is going to be a time I am envisioning you blossoming like your flower opening to the sun when the sun is in your sign. It's kind of dormant when it is in the 12th house, which it will be until the 19th. And this is a little side note that may be very random for some of you, but if you're from Ireland, and I am half Irish, so I'm representing, I bought a shamrock plant the other day when I was at Trader Joe's, and I was like, I know this is weird. I didn't know there were shamrocks. Now, that may seem silly because obviously they're leaves, you know, and they always have those illustrations of leaves, but I didn't think in terms of a literal plant. Okay, that's just like, maybe I thought it was a mythical plant. But anyway, I bought one, and when the sun is not out, so at nighttime, the leaves curl in and the flower curls in. And now I'm looking at it and the flower is kind of opening up again, kind of probably like a morning glory or something like that. So that's how I think that you're going to be starting in April, going into May. When the sun goes into your first house, you're going to start feeling energized and just you know, on top of the world. And if you think about it, when it comes around our birthday, usually we feel good, unless you don't like your birthdays. I think, you know, some people don't like their birthdays. You should love your birthday because it's a spiritual day. It's when you came into this plane of existence. So when the month begins, though, there is a Mercury retrograde. So this is happening in Aries and therefore your 12th house. So the sun is in the 12th house and Mercury is in the 12th house at the beginning of the month. And as a result of that, you may be having some kind of spiritual renewal, which is really a great thing for Taurus because you're an earth sign. So you need that trip into another dimension in order to kind of balance your physical self and your grounding that you're so famous for with something that is beyond the body, metaphysical, you know, beyond the body. And so this is a great time for meditation and reflection, prayer, and solitude. It can be a very nourishing time because the 12th house is the house of retreat, but retrogrades are also a time of inner work. So the great thing or the interesting thing about this is that Mercury retrograde starting on March 22nd, and some of you are going to be listening to this before that date. So a heads up about that. And then in April, it goes direct on April 15th, which is the same day as the new moon in Aries. So then you have a new beginning in that spiritual house. So that could be like a rebirth for you spiritually in some way. It can definitely be a sensitive time, but understand that this too shall pass if it feels like kind of far out and very like, I don't know, excavation time, because the 12th house can be suppressed memories and things that you haven't necessarily wanted to deal with. And somehow everything converges into this situation where you may find yourself with a lot of alone time to be thinking about certain matters. And it's good for you, actually. And the sun being in that 12th house, you know, they have that saying, sunlight is the best disinfectant. So any kind of things that you've been, you know, the 12th house is addictions, the ways that we trip ourselves up and are not able to be as productive, as, you know, vibrant in the world as we can be. That these are things to kind of look at. So on the 19th, the sun goes into your first house. And it's interesting in April because there's really not a lot of movement with the planets in a forward movement. A lot of it is actually, the news is a lot of retrogrades, actually. But let me just say that Venus goes into Gemini on the 24th of the month. So Venus is in your sign, Taurus, until the 24th. So for, most of the month. And that will make you more physically attractive, believe it or not. Now, it's like saying, how can a planetary influence do that? It's a very subtle thing. Venus is the attractor. So you've ever seen somebody that's maybe not classically beautiful, classically handsome, and they always seem to have an invisible aura, charisma, something going on that makes people want to be with them. And I'm talking about even romantically. And you're scratching your head trying to figure it out. Well, this is the kind of thing that may be happening to you. If you are a Taurus, the chances are that you look attractive physically as it is. But if that's not necessarily the case, it's just that je ne sais quoi, that little special something that makes you who you are. As a being who is very, charming and adorable. There's something about Taurus that's like huggable, and you're going to be a magnet in general, because the first house is the house of self, your image, and it can really work in your favor if you need to get a job, if you need to, find a partner. You just will have a lot of attraction, the ability to attract. Now, when Venus goes into the second house, it's like good gets to better, because Venus rules the second house, and this is your house, baby. So the second house is the house of earned income. You like money, don't you? Don't you, Taurus? Well, Venus can bring money. So it's like cha-ching, it's like you somehow attracting money into your reality. It could be a good money time for you. And of course, because of the nature of Venus being a personal planet, it's always going to be coming around this time of year, I would say, because it can't be too far from the sun. But it may differ from year to year. And this year it happens to be going in April. And, of course, the sign of Gemini is related to May and June. Now, I told you that there's a new moon on the 15th, and this is in that hidden house, the 12th house, spiritual renewal. And on the same day, Mercury goes direct. And so just in general for life, things will feel a little bit less hectic. And if there's any important details, papers to sign, things to launch, obviously it's best after that date, at least according to those in the know. I am always hesitant to tell people not to launch things during a Mercury retrograde, because I've read about Gabby Bernstein. I was reading her blog, and she was saying that she does launch things during them. And she doesn't pay attention to them. So she's a very successful person. It's up to you ultimately. But hey, I'm supposed to be an astrologer. If I don't tell people that, then what does that mean? A couple days after this, Saturn is retrograding in Capricorn. And this is your 9th house of higher education. So we're talking about the university level, maybe being a teacher, especially at that level of instruction. It is your philosophical framework. It's publishing. It's long-distance travel. Now, since Saturn has been in your 9th house, some of you may be attending university, and you may not be 18 to 22. You may be in your 30s. You may be in your 40s. This may be something that you've always wanted to do, Taurus, and you decided to go back to school, and you're taking it seriously. And then this Saturn retrograde, which I don't know how long it's going to last. I think it's about 5 months, but don't quote me on that. while it's retrograding, you may have to do something. You may have to do something related to your plans, or work harder at them. And so an example would be if you're at the university and you think you're almost done with your course, your major, and they tell you that they've added about 3 new courses that you have to take before you graduate. I've had that one pulled on me. And that was cute, Then you keep taking courses, for years and years. So then that's extra work that you have to do. So it's something that is not quite there yet that you have to work on that is related to ninth house matters. You are studying to be a yoga teacher. That could be another one, a big one actually, because it's all about you thinking, hey, I want to do something spiritual, but I want there to be structure in the thing that I'm doing. I want there to be practical value. So I'm going to go into yoga teacher training because I know that this is where it's at. Something kind of an obstacle comes in your way. Maybe there's a delay even. Who knows? But you have to, if you really want to achieve this goal, just realize that this is temporary. This too shall pass. By the way, you do have Pluto also in this house. Now, you've had Pluto in this house for 10 years. Of course, once again, it needs to be said, this is a general reading. So your ninth house may not be exactly like this, but Pluto has been in Capricorn for 10 years now. So it's really being a roto-rooter and a, what do they call? Yeah, roto-rooter, but like those wrecking ball. I'm going to break into a rendition of Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus pretty soon. And that real intense overhaul of issues surrounding your ninth house are also in play. So just like how you perceive things can be totally changed with this once-in-a-lifetime transit. Pluto has a 15-year cycle. So chances are, unless you live to be about 140, you're not going to see it again in this house, period. And so it's very transformative. And any ideas that you have about God or, and this could come from your family of origin. If you were indoctrinated into a certain organized religion, this could be totally connected to this ninth house. And as, come to think of it, that there may be something regarding spirituality for Taurians because of that new moon in the 12th. So perhaps it's all about exposing the indoctrination and how that has impacted your life in a negative way, but not losing your connection to God. Because so many people, they go to religious school growing up and they are, told they're going to burn in hell or they're going to, whatever, they're going to have even, it could even be like an Eastern type of schooling, like, some kind of an ashram school, and they tell you have bad karma and all this stuff, and you're going to have bad karma in a future life or something. It's scare tactics, really, if you think about it. And maybe you're going to blow that to smithereens and have a totally different philosophy that it's kind of sacred for you. And around the time of that new moon, it's a rebirth of your belief system. Because Pluto retrograde, which did I tell you, as I've been ranting on and on here, that Pluto is retrograding on the 22nd of the month? That was what I meant to say. And so that is a chance for you to look at the shadow when it comes to religion. And even when it comes to university, higher education. Maybe you were brainwashed into thinking you couldn't be successful unless you had a college degree. And maybe you're trying, and then with the Saturn retrograde, it's like you're just like, you feel like you're just spinning your wheels, and is it worth it? And I guess we will see. And so it's just a time of looking at what is, what you're working towards and if it's really worth it. And of course, there's that spiritual theme as well as the university and even a book, Maybe you've been writing the great American novel, the great Australian novel, the great British novel, and it's just not happening. It's not flowing, and you decide to scrap the project. Or you just double down, because with Saturn retrograde, you may double down. And I think that you're being asked to. So the other thing that I want to tell you is that on the 29th of the month, there is a full moon at 9 degrees of Scorpio. This is your 7th house of committed partnership. So full moons can bring out secrets. This could possibly this is not the only, interpretation of this, but it could possibly bring out secrets with a partner. But this is a committed partner, a marital situation, a spouse that leads you to find out, oh, so this is where they've been going at night. They said they were going bowling, and, I never saw the bowling ball. Something like that, It could be that you deepen your love for your partner, that you see the partner with all the spiritual influence. You can see the partner as your soulmate, whereas maybe before you were seeing the negative side of things. I think that for some of you, this could even be twin flame stuff happening, because with the new moon in the 12th house and Mercury there, you could be communicating with somebody, maybe telepathically, but you could be like communicating with somebody who's, behind the scenes, who may be a person that you are on again, off again with. As I say, when Mercury goes retrograde, you may hear from somebody from your past. Well, this is your 12th house, baby, and you've had Venus in there recently. So it could be like this secret love affair. I was going to sing that song too. And also just a past life, a karmic situation. So this may be a very kind of a karmic time for you, where you're having these amazing insights that are like not like you, that usually you're just more practical, and now you're having these far out thoughts and maybe even dreams and things like that. But it could, there could be like some kind of situation that occurs with your relationship. Sometimes full moons mean endings. So maybe you find something out about your partner and you're through because that was the final straw. Okay, that was the last straw. But as I said, full moons can be culmination of things. So you may decide that you want to get whatever they call it when you get remarried, get your vows renewed, because you really realize that you love your partner so much. So it depends on the individual, as with anything else in life. Okay, Taurus. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. If you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below. My website is rainamoonastrology.com. Take care. Bye.